this year was a new category which included the word art. So I would say that some of the new trends were that the artists who submitting were really speaking using a philosophical lens and looking at the current political and socioeconomic topics that are currently happening in our society. So that was definitely a trend.
Yeah, in the new image art, new animation art jury this year, we had, artists are people, and so we had the trend that have to do with the post-COVID world we live in. It goes from people being isolated in small, confined spaces. We had work around the delivery industry and the craziness that it entails, and all those changes of pace and changes of the way we live. But we also had, trends around the medium itself. The rise of AI, the rise still, it's been a few years now, the omnipresence of game engine as a way to really propel animation art. And as Helen mentioned, a lot of conceptual framing around diversity. We were really happy with the diversity of the applicants, both the artists who applied, but also the way they treat those themes and within the content of the artwork.
Mm-hmm. And I would also like to say one of the big things I observed was a move away from the artist referring to the technology itself, and a move away from the spectacle of the technology and using it more like a tool for storytelling or for sharing very difficult concepts, or for visualizing difficult concepts. So it definitely seemed as if artists are now becoming very familiar and using these tools as more of an extension of themselves. So rather than playing with, using the tool to expand on their ideas.
Well, Ars Electronica is an important place because we live in a world that is still caught into, unfortunately, into state nation competing with each other, if not fighting literally with each other. We have still war in this world, and the art community has been transcending that divide a long time ago. And Ars Electronica is a perfect example of a place where you can see that internationally artists from all sorts of diverse backgrounds and horizons come together, and both in terms of the content and in terms of the tool they use, there is a sort of international dimension to it. And Ars Electronica is a place where those artists, can meet each other and can meet their audience. And therefore it's essential because we all suffered from isolation and from not being all together in presence during COVID. And Ars Electronica is a place, a physical place where people, bring their body and mingle with each other for some time, and that makes all the difference.
Yeah, I definitely think one of the really important things about Ars Electronica is that it's always been cutting edge in terms of its technology and its use of technology, which means the festival has always naturally had a futuristic quality to it. And with futurism, there tends to be this binary of utopia, dystopia. But now it seems as if we're in the future that had been talked about in Ars Electronica for years ago. So we're in the future now. And because Ars Electronica has been so supportive of this form of epistemology for so many years, we are well placed in Ars Electronica to deal with the current issues at hand. Like, we don't need to learn about the pros and cons of AI, because we've been thinking about it for many years. So I think that's really what makes it unique.
Yeah, yeah. If I may add to that, yeah, Ars Electronica, as you know, is a great place of hybridity where really you bring together both the artwork, the artist, the community, but also the research. We are sitting at the Future Lab, as well as the education. And often in the jury, you know, we tell amongst each other, you know, if it fits into a film festival, then probably it doesn't fit in Ars Electronica. So this bridge between, you know, the commercial, the private even sometimes, and contemporary art, you know, without being just contemporary art. And so there is that diversity that is really refreshing and means that there's something for everyone and everyone can grow.
So we were talking earlier on, Philippe and I, about even the use of the word animation in the category, and whether it was pertinent for what it is that we're seeing the artist producing, which are visuals that move as compared to the more traditional form of animation. So I would say, if we go back to the true meaning of the word animation, to the word anima, which really is speaks to a qualitative spirit, or a quality that is difficult to define, but in many ways is in essence in every living thing. And I think there's a livingness to the artworks that we are presented in across so many mediums, that there was an aliveness to them. And I think that was really important in our judging. We talked a lot about when you're with such a skilled and knowledgeable panel, as I was lucky to be part of, you are around people who've seen it all before. So there was a lot of conversation about, oh yeah, this has been presented, this idea, we understand this, what is new and fresh, and what are the different ways that these thoughts can be expressed.
Yes, it's interesting and also complex for the jury, because we live in a time where boundaries between classes and types of art and silos in art are being broken. Artists have always been good at doing that, of course, but this is particularly true. And as one of the jury members, Lev Manovich, wrote already many decades ago, I don't want to age him, but many decades ago, with the digital, that's what you get. Eventually, whether it's sound, film, CGI, it is all going to be bits and digital information, and it calls for a multimodal approach. And we see over and over artists integrating, in a way, different medium, different modalities into their work, which means eventually they go above and beyond the categorization we try to put themselves in. But that's very, very healthy. And yeah, we're also in a time in which there's so much new tools. Helen mentioned it before, that we are now have to go beyond the demonstration, you know, of a new technology and the sort of artwork that sometimes can look like a demo, you know, and without necessarily content or discourse. Now there is so many of those tools, they come to us so fast at an increasing pace. To become virtuoso at a given tool, you need to be able to work with it for a certain amount of time. When tools are changing every 6 months, you can't really do that. And so the fallback is actually to have a discourse, to have a concept, and to actually care more about your content, almost, than about the medium you're going to express it with. And we see a bit that liberation from, you know, the tyranny of using the newest technology, because we all understand now that the newest technology is not going to be new for very long.
I also wanted to add to what Philippe had mentioned before, about this new way of working, to point out the incredibly disruptive nature of these technologies and the fact that we saw many works where the artist's vision flowed through the entire work. With these technologies, the singular artist can do so many jobs which you can't do with one person can't do in animation or film. So they can control the lighting, they can control the music, they can control the backdrops of the visuals, and so you get this richness and depth of artistic vision which flows through the entirety of the work and gives a really deep and expressive experience. I mean, okay, it may not be as slick as a Hollywood film, which you have millions of dollars to spend in post-production, but you get this raw, live vitality to the works, and this sort of way in which they almost sing because the artistic vision and voice is so strong. And I think that is something that this category brings, just through, as Philippe had mentioned beautifully before, the virtuosity that's now developing in these artists, where they've grappled and learned how to use these tools, and so they're really at this next level of poesis in art.